Look at your toaster. Like, it probably cost you maybe 20 bucks.
Right.
But imagine trying to actually build that exact same toaster completely from scratch. You'd have to, mine the iron ore yourself, drill the oil for the plastic casing.
Oh, good luck with that.
Right. And somehow find the mica for the heating element. It would take you months, cost an absolute fortune, and you would likely just end up with a massive fire hazard.
Yeah, a very expensive fire hazard.
Exactly. And there's a really profound reason for that, which is, well, true poverty is self-sufficiency. We are going to explain exactly why your daily standard of living actually relies on having thousands of invisible servants working for you around the clock.
It's a wild concept, and welcome to our deep dive into Matt Ridley's The Rational Optimist. We're really exploring the historical mechanics of human prosperity today.
Right, and pushing back against that constant doom and gloom narrative we always hear. But, let's unpack this paradox first. If the data shows we're objectively better off now than a century ago, why are our brains so heavily wired for pessimism?
Well, it honestly just comes down to evolutionary survival.
Yeah.
We are biologically hardwired to be hyper alert to threats,
Because of predators and stuff.
Exactly. For most of human history, missing a negative signal meant you were taken out of the gene pool entirely. But, missing a positive signal just meant you missed a berry.
Wow, so our brains are literally filtering out the good news.
They really are. But when you look at the raw data on how we actually measure wealth, that good news is staggering. Ridley argues we shouldn't even measure wealth in dollars, but in time.
Wait, time? Like how much of your working lifespan it takes to afford something?
Spot on. The time metric completely cuts through inflation and currency changes. So take artificial light, for example. In the year 1800, if you wanted an hour of reading light from a basic tallow candle...
Which is just like animal fat.
Yeah, awful, smelly animal fat. That 1 hour of light costs the average person over 6 hours of hard labor to earn.
6 hours for 1 hour of light. That's insane.
Right. But today, an hour of light from a modern bulb costs the average worker less than half a second of their time.
Less than half a second. That effectively redefines technology. It's almost like literal time travel. A light bulb isn't just a glass tool. It's a mechanism that buys back 6 hours of human lifespan.
It totally buys back time. We went from 6 hours to half a second because we figured out how to offload the work. We completely abandoned self-sufficiency.
Which brings us back to the toaster. So how did we suddenly get all this free time by not being self-sufficient?
Well, that abandonment of self-sufficiency is exactly what a designer named Thomas Thwaites ran into. He actually tried to execute that toaster thought experiment.
Wait, he literally tried to build a commercial toaster from the ground up.
He did, and it was a total disaster. He eventually had to cheat by using a microwave to melt iron ore, and he still ended up with this incredibly expensive, barely functional object.
That's hilarious.
It really shows that we only thrive because of the division of labor. Humans are the only species that routinely swap different items between unrelated strangers.
But hold on, let me push back on that. What about ants or bees? They have highly specialized roles within their colonies.
Sure, but insect colonies are just giant, closely related families sharing DNA. Their specialization is purely biological.
Oh, I see. So human trade is fundamentally different because we aren't related.
Exactly. Human barter between complete strangers is entirely unique. It requires massive cognitive leaps, specifically things like abstract language and trust frameworks.
Right, like when you buy a coffee, you're trusting this massive global network of strangers, the farmers, the shippers, the roasters.
Exactly. We realized early on that if one tribe is great at making axes and another is great at fishing, trading based on that comparative advantage benefits everyone. That dynamic created what Ridley calls our collective brain.
The collective brain. I love that. And when those strangers cross paths to trade physical goods, they inevitably end up trading something much more powerful.
Oh, the ideas.
Yeah, here's where it gets really interesting. Ridley frames this as ideas having sex, like the telephone mates with the computer to spawn the internet.
It's such a vivid way to describe non-rivalrous exchange, because physical objects are zero-sum,
Like, if I give you my axe, I don't have an axe anymore.
Right, exactly. But ideas have increasing returns. If I share a schematic for a water wheel with you, my knowledge isn't diminished at all.
It actually multiplies.
Yeah. Because you might look at my schematic and figure out how to add a millstone to it.
Right, that spillover effect, just people borrowing, combining, and improving upon each other's concepts. That is the actual engine of progress.
And it's why you are the beneficiary of this globally interconnected collective brain today.
Totally. You might not wake up feeling like royalty, But every single day, thousands of specialists, from Sri Lankan tea growers to software engineers in California, are working exclusively to serve you.
And historically, when societies collapse, it's because they isolate themselves.
Really? They just stopped trading.
Or, yeah, they stop innovating, they stop trading, and they regress towards self-sufficiency. Our continued prosperity relies entirely on keeping that network of exchange wide open.
Wow. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? The next time you pick up your phone or your coffee mug today, just think about the thousands of minds that collaborated to place it in your hand for just a few dollars.
It's a humbling thought, honestly, and we have to ask ourselves what happens to our future if we ever stop sharing those ideas.
Absolutely. And on that note, here's something else to chew on before we go. If human prosperity exploded just from people sharing ideas at the speed of wooden ships and telegraphs, what happens to our collective brain now that artificial intelligence is entering the chat?
Oh, that is a wild thought. Just capable of cross-pollinating millions of ideas in milliseconds.
Exactly. Will AI be the ultimate accelerant for our prosperity? Something for you to think about until next time.